most businesses face today is a world of unprecedented complexity, right? The management hierarchy that we know actually succeeded quite well in simpler times. We're not here talking about new approaches because it's failed us. Management as we know it has been incredibly effective in a different world. The problem is it's becoming obsolete. It doesn't deal well with complex systems. It deals well with the complicated, but not the complex. And so any business today that's in dealing with the level of interconnection and just dynamic markets and the nature of our world today is so interconnected, so complex, they need new approaches and thus the challenge of transformation. Because when you're moving from a traditional management hierarchy, traditional control structure to something new, you're radically changing the paradigm at play for everyone in the organization, right? You're expecting not just basic new skills within a current system, you're expecting a new mindset, right? A totally new paradigm. And that's hard. That's really, really hard, right? And one of the challenges is I think people that are in this work intuitively know that what they really need is this deep mindset change, this deep transformation change. And the problem is when you directly try to pursue principle-based mindset change, you try to get people the new principles, it often doesn't work that well. It's counterintuitive, but the approach of let's get people the new mindset, the new principles, and then hope that the behaviors follow often doesn't work as well as trying to get people the new behaviors and let the mindset shift follow. So I think one of the big challenges we have is we have this sense of we need a new paradigm, a new control system here. But we need to do it without just telling people, here's the new principles, because it doesn't work, right? I mean, some people it does, and it's great, but it's a vast minority, and we need wide-scale transformation. So what I've found is rule-based approaches are actually counterintuitively better, right? You can either teach people principles and hope they change behaviors, or you can teach people behaviors with a set of rules. And if you do that, they'll eventually infer the new principles underneath them. The mindset shift will follow once they realize it works, the behaviors work. It's also a lot kinder. When you go to somebody and say, hey, you're thinking about this all wrong. Your mind needs to be changed. There's something that feels kind of violating about that. And so people resist. And a lot of the resistance we see is not a resistance to the new paradigm. It's a resistance to somebody telling them that there's something wrong with them. And there's something rather powerful when you say, look, we're changing the paradigm, the system here, and you don't have to believe in it. You don't have to like it, but you do need to figure out how to work in it to get your job done. So let us show you how to do the new behaviors, right? It's so much more powerful, and that's, I think, one of the most misunderstood aspects of holacracy. It's a rule-based approach as opposed to a principle-based approach, right? And that's not because we don't want the principles in there. We want them. That's what deep, lasting change comes from. It's just a recognition that it's far more effective getting there through an actual concrete process, especially when this is brought in from near the top, right? You can't count on the middle managers and everything below you, especially in large enterprises, to necessarily align with principle change. But you can apply new processes. You can apply new standards, new rules, new method. That is much easier to actually get enacted and then to let them get it from there. Yeah, one of the main challenges I see there is the temptation is often, well, let's throw out management, right? Or you get the other direction and let's hold on to management as we know it. And either of those actually misses the opportunity. And I think this is especially important in this whole self-management movement, which has emerged, shared governance, whatever you want to call it. There's often one of these two biases, and often within the same company. You'll have, one class that's like, no, we're going to really hold on to management as it's done and just get a little more involvement. And you'll have the other saying, no, management is the old paradigm, throw it out. I think both of these are really missing the mark. We still need management. Management's fundamentally important, right? Management's gotten us this far. And by management, I mean we need to break down the work and figure out who's doing what, right? What do we count on from each other? Who's owning what? Who makes which decisions? What policies do we need to abide by to have alignment towards a broader goal? We need this. This is all the work of management. The mistaken idea is that we have to centralize this in a single person called a manager for a team to do it all. right? So throwing out management is definitely not the answer. We need management, but we don't necessarily need managers. We need a coordinating structure, and it has to do the work of management. Right? It has to be better than managers at management, or we should go back to managers. Right? Let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater here. Management is useful. In fact, it's so important in a complex world that we need better approaches than centralizing it in one person, because that job is too hard in a complex system. How many managers do you know who are expert at creating clarity and then empowering people and getting out of the way? Right? Very few. Most managers, that's really hard, so they end up micromanaging to some degree. Right? It's just hard not to. And when you do get a manager who's really good at creating clarity and then getting out of the way and empowering people, they get promoted and replaced by somebody who's not as good at that, because there's not enough to go around. So what we need are frameworks that help people do the work of management. And not just the old manager, them too. They can still do the work of management as well. The goal is to have everyone else do it as well. Right? It's not about redistributing power away from the manager. That's a totally mistaken goal, I think, in the self-management world. The goal is to raise the power of everyone else in the system and share the burden. So we're all doing the work of management, of creating clarity and defining who's going to do what and what are we counting on from each other and what policies do we need for alignment. Right? All of that work. And it's really hard to do that if you tell everyone, good luck, you're empowered. That doesn't give you an empowered team. That gives you a lot of confused people. So you need a framework. This is back to the idea of a rule-based approach. You need a framework that says, here's how people can get involved in the work of management, and how a manager can let go into a process that holds them through this new work as well. Right? That's why whatever the framework is, it doesn't have to be holacracy, but we need a concrete framework, a set of processes and rules that invite people in to do the work of management so we can have management without managers. We're spinning off the core IP of Holacracy, the website holacracy.org, the brand and all that, into a nonprofit foundation, which is a hybrid DAO and Holacracy-powered organization. So there'll be a token, a governance token involved that invites the entire community of stakeholders of Holacracy to get involved in the shared governance of the core kind of home base of the website and the IP, get involved in the licensing and certification programs so that anyone that wants to claim they're a Holacracy consultant does so with a level of quality, centralizes kind of a single point of information in the website. There's going to be plenty others too, but holacracy.org gets a lot of traffic of people interested in this. So we're putting all of that, right now it's one company's thing. We're a company with a movement, and that doesn't feel right any longer. What we want to be is a movement that happens to have a little foundation supporting it, right? A movement with a company, not a company with a movement.